Good afternoon and welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or one of the 50% of the viewing audience who have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it is live, and if you would like to join the debate, there is a link in the info box below this video. With the page you are currently watching on mute, simply click that link to join the show and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are, however, a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number 1. Please do not swear. If you do, you will be ejected. And number 2, if you are ejected, please do not try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You will be warmly welcomed back on the next show. With that, I'm going to transition across to my photos so I can share the show on Facebook, Skype and Twitter, and I would encourage anybody who is in the live stream presently to please do the same. Please share the show on social media. One last time, if you're new to this channel or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Do this every time, see if I can do it without stuttering while I click Facebook shares and stuff. Live now. Let's see if I can do some shout outs while I do it. A4, good to have you here, my friend. Very pleased to see you. Flat Earth Hippie Chick. Same to you, good to have you in our live stream. Thanks for being here, please share the show. Flatman says, oi. Oi to you too, Flatman. Good to have you here. One more Skype live stream and then I'll come back and do a few more shout outs. Maybe do my link again and then go on mute. There we go. So I've just shared the show on Facebook, Skype and Twitter, and one more time I would encourage anybody who is currently in the live stream to please also share the show. Maggie, what is it, Maggie M? Very pleased to have you here, good to see you. Is it worth me running through my links again? 2 minutes into the show, why not? If this runs over the 2-hour mark, it'll be the first thing that gets heard. So if you are new to this channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it is live, so toss me a buck or two in there if you are enjoying this show. And most importantly, if you would like to join the debate, there is a link in the info box below this video. With the page you are currently watching on mute, simply click that link to join the show and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are, however, a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number 1, please do not swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are ejected, please do not try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next show. In case you hadn't already figured out, I'm very keen for people to share this stream, and the reason is simple. The more it gets shared, the more likelihood of us having a wider audience. The more wide the audience, the greater the likelihood that we will have a diverse panel. So please share, 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 as it makes the show what it is. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. You may hear from me one more time to go through exactly the same information again, unless we're joined by a guest, in which case I will make our first introduction. Good to see you, Chess. Big heart to you too. Steve Anthony, nice to see you as well. Thanks for being here. Everett Anderson, nice to have you in our chat. Good to see you. Agent Detective says, oi oi agents. Hello there. Nice to have you. Alan M, pleased to see you, my friend. Thanks for being in our live stream. New name to me, I think. Steve Anthony says, hopefully Grim joins and goes on a lecture about the electromagnetic universe. Indeed, my sentiments exactly, Steve. I do hope that Grim joins to give us a lecture about the electromagnetic universe. That would be wonderful. Broken link, says Adam. Really? Let's have a little look. I will copy it from the one that's actually running into the chat and I'll repaste it. Hello, there you go, Adam. You've joined. Hello, Adam. Good to have you here.
G'day, Nathan.
Oh, why can't I hear you?
You should be able to. You just repeated. I think you've got your watch page open.
There we go. I can hear you now. Just a bit quiet.
Alright, sweet. I thought you weren't having a show till like 10 hours.
I wasn't going to, but the last one got completely shut down through porn bombing, so I take them down immediately when that happens and just edit out the pornography, and it takes hours and hours and hours. And to be honest, I'm just sat here, you know, I'm looking after my kid, and she's happy, she's watching nursery rhymes, so I might as well do another one. I'd like to have 2 published a day, so on occasion I have done 3 when one of them's had something go wrong with the stream, or it's been porn bombed or whatever.
Yeah, that's no good. If people can't, like, find their jollies, I don't see the point in doing that type of stuff, sniping or porn bombing or anything. You know, if you don't want to watch the show, I'm sure that there's plenty other live streams or videos on YouTube that you can go watch.
Yeah, I agree. And the chat seemed to agree as well, you know, after the show. I mean, I find it all amusing. It's part of the fun for me. If that's what happens, it shows that that's what happened, if you know what I mean. So I've always said, you know, so be it if we end up getting porn bombed for an entire show and I just have to battle them off with the movie pictures up, then that's going to be the show that day. It's only when I can't get there quick enough, so literally when I've got my kid clambering on me, I can't get to the mouse quick enough to get them out or transition, it's one that I've got to end it there and then. It's like, no, that's disappointing. But earlier it was like 5 minutes left, and it'll just end up being one of the Christmas shows, you know, when I'm not around to do them, I'll just publish it then.
Yeah, I suppose so. It'll get a little frustrating, but I suppose you got to like take it on the chin, take it as it comes. Not all the shows are going to go like peachy.
It doesn't frustrate me at all. In fact, as I say, I find if you could probably see on the reaction when it gets published, probably on Christmas Eve, you know, I'm smiling away because I do actually find it amusing. But it's the people in the audience that find it frustrating because they don't want me to shut down the show, and you know, it makes no odds to me. Been joined by Truth Seeker. Very pleased to have you here.
Yep. Morning, guys.
I just see it as like, you know, there was debates going on and there was back and forth conversation that now, you know, you can't go over it sort of thing and try to look into it, what they were saying. Now, I thought that Anthony was bringing up some good points. You know, he asked that guy several times to provide proof of the iron core getting to the temperature of 7,000. I don't know if it was degrees or Celsius, but you know, he was trying to ask for proof, and it was just like the dragon concept. All these ballers seem to go on the, oh, we've shown you evidence, we've told you about it, then therefore we've shown you evidence. And it's like, no, all you've done is just make a statement. I can make a statement about dragons too. Dragons exist. Prove me wrong. You know what I mean? That's how I feel like most of the ball earthers get away with their drivel, is they make a statement and then say, you prove me wrong. I'm not the one that made the statement.
Been joined by Miles Davis. Very pleased to have you here, Miles. Good to see you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you too.
I'm interested by that last comment about showing proof. Hang on a sec, I need to mute my other page. Here we go.
Yeah, it's a very good distinction.
Yeah, you do know that science never proves anything, don't you?
Yeah, science. Well, the definition of the word proof that I go off, I don't know. I've had arguments with people about the definition of the word proof, but the one that I use is to compel the mind to assert something is true. So proof, in my opinion, is different than evidence. Evidence is factual, where it's like true and false, where proof are just compelling arguments or statements or information that compels the mind to assert something is true.
Yeah, well, we see. Okay, and that's I suppose fair enough.
I would say on that, on saying that, then I'd say that science doesn't have any evidence for anything. Science can prove things because it can, can compel the mind to assume something is true, but
I think
it
you've
doesn't
got
have
that
any
the wrong way round.
like actual false evidence.
Yeah. I think you've got that the wrong way round. What science does is it seeks to find evidence by observation and experimentation and so on, and it then is what scientists do is they then try and explain those observations in some kind of way, that by forming some sort of hypothesis about what what is actually going on, and the scientific method then takes over to attempt to confirm or find evidence that confirms or does not confirm that hypothesis may or may not be true. But science never gets to a point where it proves anything at all, because there's always the possibility that some new evidence will emerge that causes the existing explanation to be rejected. What science does is it takes the evidence and comes up with what is the most likely explanation and the most likely model, if you like, for that. So Anthony is being, and others are being utterly ridiculous when you demand proof. Proof can never be provided. What can be provided is evidence, is logical reasoning. And then if you choose to ignore that and claim that it doesn't show anything or doesn't even point towards anything, well, that's fair enough. That's up to you. It's your personal choice to say, well, I don't think that's convincing. Most people do think it's very convincing.
Well, going on what you just said, I'd agree. Like the evidence is different than proof, and the proof can change because it's a compelling statement is proof. So once once you've seen more evidence, may change your stance. So you might not be compelled to believe what you previously believed. But with Anthony, when you said that he didn't accept the evidences that were given to him, well, I don't know. I wasn't listening for the whole show, but I joined in, say, 30 minutes to go, and I heard him asking about. He asked somebody for, I think it was an Aussie guy. He asked him for evidence or proof, whatever you wanted to say, call it as. He asked him for proof or evidence of the iron core being a certain temperature or having certain attributes at a certain temperature, and the people that were arguing against him, against Anthony, was Gem Panda and the other guy, and they said that they'd already provided him that, and all they'd done is provide statements. And then when Anthony was asked to provide proof of his claims or evidence of his claims, he then went and started to screen share and went to where he got his information. So I see Anthony as trying to be honest, really. He's trying to say, well, this is where I found the information that I'm giving to you, so everybody can go over it together, and this is why he believes the things he believes. And when he asks the same things of other people, they expect him to just go off sheer faith, and that's.
I challenge that.
But before you do, Miles, I'm really sorry to interrupt you. Can I just introduce Brenda? We've been joined by Brenda. Very pleased to have you here, Brenda.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good afternoon here, Brenda. Yeah, so I challenge what you're just saying about that. I think Anthony, whilst he will put things on screen and so on, he always requests the impossible, and then shows stuff and misunderstands or misrepresents what he's showing very often.
I can understand that he doesn't understand some things, but there's a lot of people out there that would misunderstand a lot of things if they're just going off, they're going.
But when I misunderstand something, I try to understand and follow it. What Anthony does is he claims that he does understand it, and that everybody else doesn't understand.
Well, no, like in saying that, like what I heard last night, I can't go off everything that he said. You know what I mean? I'm just going off the statements last night that I'm trying to defend of his. was the statements about the iron core having certain attributes at a certain degree. And the person that was giving that information, they should have had somewhere that, like, he could have given a link to, or, you know, provided a screen share and shown that information, like even just a Google search of that. If it's true, like he said, that iron at a certain temperature would still have the same attributes, that's what the other person was saying, well then there should be some type of information, documentation on it.
Oh, there certainly will be documentation to prove that or to show that. The thing is that the documentation and the evidence is going to be very complicated. It's going to be hidden within scientific journals that are not readily available to everybody. And
the issue is too, we're discussing such fringe information that this kind of information is not even approaching in any journals. Okay, this stuff is not going to be funded. It's not going to have a .com website behind it. I mean, this stuff is very fringe.
Yeah, it's just standard. It's just standard textbook geology.
If it's textbook geology,
hey,
then it's
I have a 4-year degree in understanding a textbook.
You can't say that it's free.
And I know a lot of it is based
and it only exists in conversation, and then turn around and say it's textbooks information, Brenda. Like you're saying,
Brenda. Brenda, I spent
these other people are saying that it's hypothetical at the moment, and the ones that are fathoming this or contemplating this are scientists, and they, you know, they would have it just in their own personal journals or in their own little clique. And now you're saying it's textbook. Like, you understand that you're contradicting what they're saying.
No, I'm not.
Here, we can settle this now, because I'm a scientist with a 4-year geology formal education from university, and I know firsthand many of the explanations they give in these textbooks are secondhand assumptions with no kind of firsthand verifiability. So we do need to kind of take a step back.
All of science is based on assumptions.
Exactly. So there's not much different from
that doesn't invalidate. That doesn't invalidate it.
There's not much difference between my geology textbooks that I still have and a Bible. Okay, there's not
That's
much difference.
False. That's false.
No, that's not. That's actually a true statement.
Well, what I was trying to
get at, extraordinarily false to claim the Bible is similar to a geology textbook or any other scientific textbook. Those textbooks may present.
Topic, though. If I can just jump back and before we about the actual topic.
I thought Miles was talking. Miles was talking. You were not talking.
Yeah.
The actual topic, though.
Miles was talking. You were not talking. Be quiet. Let Miles talk. Let Miles talk.
Hey, Brenda.
Miles was
talking. Allow the discussion to go. Brenda, stop talking. Brenda, stop talking. Brenda, stop talking. See how that works? It doesn't add you any credibility.
May I contribute?
Yes, Miles, but can you stick to the topic of, like, the iron core having...
You're not the moderator.
I will stick to
the topic. I brought up the topic, and I was, you know, like, we haven't even...
I will stick to the topic. Please let me comment.
On the religious dogma.
Please let me comment.
My geology textbooks are dogmatic, and I could go open them up and read some of the stuff out of them. They are incredibly dogmatic, just like a Bible.
Of course they are. They're based in facts.
No, they're based in blind faith assumptions. Blind faith and assumptions.
No, science doesn't work by faith.
Do you guys actually
scientism does, and that modern geology is scientism.
No, it is not.
Yes, it is. You're not an expert. I'm an expert in this.
You're not an expert.
I have a way more credible opinion on this. It is very much scientism. If
Truth.
you have any kind of view, that isn't outlined,
you don't even know what scientism means.
Yes, I do. It's basically
what does it mean?
Treating science as a religion, and you basically take everything off of
no, that's not what it means.
Verifying stuff. Yes,
that's not what it means.
You will believe anything you read out of the text, just like a religious.
That's not what it means. That's not what it means. Look it up.
Have you guys stopped squabbling, and can we get back onto some reasonable discussion? The comment that was made earlier was that a textbook is similar to the Bible. And we've seemed to have gone down this hole of whether science is, or scientism, as it's been referred to, is a religion or is based on something else. Scientific textbooks will appear to be dogmatic, but they do tend to include words like scientists think or current thinking is, and that sort of...
They used to have those qualifiers.
Will you let me finish? Thank you. They are based, however, the things that are stated in science textbooks, which are often a somewhat dumbed down version of the sort of true opinion of scientists at the time. What is presented is based on experimental data, on observational data, on a considerable body of work that has done in order to observe the Earth, the universe, or whatever, and to come to a reasonable, rational conclusion based on those observations. You cannot claim the same of the Bible. So let's put that one to rest. Science is most definitely not dogmatic, and you're talking to someone who's spent 35 years working in research labs, has a number of first author publications in scientific journals.
So you don't think it's dogmatic?
I know the way that science works, and it is far from dogmatic.
So you have 35 years of experience trying to get funding. Explain the methodologies that you'd have to get funding and where this money's derived from. What kind of interest groups are funding these studies?
There are the funding that I worked under was nearly always from government organizations or the European Union.
Exactly.
However, if you would let me finish, I don't see that as any kind of problem. Okay, there are many.
You don't see it as any problem. Go look up in 2017.
Research that are funded by government that are controversial, are not designed remotely to maintain the status quo. What is actually the purpose of most scientific research is to question and to challenge and to improve our knowledge, not to push one particular view or another.
I agree that's what they claim it is, but do we know that governments have any kind of conflicts of interest, or
the money comes from governments, but it is the decisions upon where it is spent is made by scientists in the field. When I submit a grant proposal to a funding body, whether that be a charitable funding body, a government-based funding body, or a private company who's providing funding for research, that grant proposal is examined by other scientists. I myself have been involved in examining other people's funding proposals, albeit in a somewhat limited way. I'm not that high up the tree, and I've stopped working in that area for the moment.
Well, we're at a current like low point for trust in government. You look up to Pew Research, we're at a pretty high point where people are
but the point I'm making is that this is independent of government.
Okay, well, here, I'm a scientist that deals with government contracts, and there is a huge slack. Anytime I'm dealing in government-funded projects, there is a huge amount of slack and devoid of objectiveness or any kind of search for truth. It's kind of more just like a gravy train that everybody's kind of putzing around on, kind of going with the expected results, because that's what's going to get them more money next time. This is all a cash cow that people do whatever the funders will say so that next time they'll get their grant.
Well, there is an element, I mean, certainly within the biological sciences and the biomedical sciences, there is an element of wanting to write grant proposals, and some people get very good at doing this, but they never actually advance science very much. Wanting to write grant proposals that are more likely to get funded, if you like, because they stick to the currently trendy kind of topics and that
exact point, which both of you and I have seen in the real world, is exactly why we're not trusting these geology texts anymore, because we found that too much of this recent information has been co-opted by special interests that don't want the truth to get out there because they will have something to lose.
However, there is no reason to believe that that published scientific data and that is all there to be examined. There's no reason to believe that is in any way false. Yes, people will make mistakes from time to time. Those usually get picked up on by other scientists who then challenge that data.
So here we are.
There's no reason to disbelieve the scientific data that is in the fast.
There wasn't a reason until we found out a majority of our space footage was CGI. A majority of curvature photo was derived from wide-angle lenses.
Absolutely.
And now there's a growing consensus and concern that a lot of this information was doctored.
You have no evidence whatsoever that any footage from space is CGI or has been doctored.
No, I have a quote from NASA saying that actually all their images are CGI or composites because it has to be.
No, you do not.
Composites, of course, they're composites. Of course, they have to be. Yes, of course, because that's how the instruments
work. You guys can't even get your lies together. You guys can't even get your lies. One guy
composite isn't a lie.
The guy just said they weren't edited, and now we know that every single image they've ever presented is a CGI.
Composite isn't a lie.
The image that you're talking about.
You can't even get your lies. You can't even get your lies on the same page.
That's translated and wrapped around the globe. You know, you're talking about images that aren't really images. They're data that's wrapped around a globe. So that's a misinterpretation.
That's what an image is.
You're all bickering, so I'm going to turn you all down so I can do an introduction for Jeremy, as he is pretty much, as far as I'm concerned, on this panel, the expert at the moment. You can't be heard. No one can be heard while I'm talking. How you doing, Jeremy? Good to have you here, my friend.
Hi, mate.
Good. So right, finally you can bring some... Hold on, Truth Seeker. Hold on. Hopefully you can bring some sense to all of this, Jeremy. So you're I would call you my expert. I'm sure you wouldn't consider yourself one yourself, but modest though you are, you can bring some normality to this conversation. So we've got two conflicting opinions from globeheads currently, excuse my terminologies, but the two conflicting opinions are, one is saying absolutely no way, nothing is provable as being CGI from NASA, and the other is saying, well, it's all CGI, but what's wrong with that? So do you want to interject and maybe give your
opinion? That's what I said, Nathan.
That's a distortion. That's a straw man.
Yep. No, that's actually a quote from NASA.
No, it's a straw man.
I just wanted to correct
a direct quote from a NASA.
What he said was, and he's taken this quote from NASA, and he has distorted it, and I think this is common in flat Earth. What he said was that NASA say all of their pictures are CGI. And NASA have never said that. They do not say that. And if you claim that they do, I challenge you to show me where they say it.
I'm not going to show you where they say it because there's a guy that already is out there saying
that. It's readily available.
It isn't readily available. It's a lie. Sorry, I'm not going to settle for it's readily available.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm not going to settle. I'm not going to settle for you're so lazy you can't use a Google search engine.
Yeah, well, mimicry might be a good argument in your branch of science. You're a scientist.
You have a globe expert, but you can't use a simple Google search.
Can you tell me, Jem, how they get the...
Let me just make this point. Now I've had to endure mimic.
Can you answer my question first? Can you answer
Adam
first?
I want to make.
Can you tell me how to get pictures?
Adam, be quiet.
Let's just feed his baby logic right back in his face. He can eat it.
Well, how do they get the pictures from the ISS all the way back down to Earth? Is there a postman that goes up there and collects the pictures and brings it back down?
Right. I'm going to address Truth's point, and Truth's point was that Adam, please, so I'm talking now.
Well, they don't actually take pictures.
No, I'm not going to answer your question until I've dealt with Truth's point.
He needs an actual data presented. He can't do it.
It's not going to happen. Okay.
He can't do a Google search of his own. He must bait you for a credible source.
It's not my job to find evidence to support your claims, Truth. If you make a claim, you support it.
I'm just presenting evidence.
That is a lie. NASA have never.
I don't care how lazy.
You're talking over me now. I haven't finished speaking.
I'm presenting this facts out here, so for objective people to look.
No, you aren't. You're presenting a lie.
I'm not concerned with your baiting. I'm not concerned with your credible source baiting and moving the goalpost. No, I'm presenting this out there so others can investigate.
I'm asking you to support what you're saying. If you say that that's true, you've just told me it's readily available. It should be very easy for you to find it.
Well, in saying that,
admit that it's a lie. That you made it up, or you got it from another flat earther and you didn't bother to check it.
In saying that, Jem, you expect this guy to go get evidence of what he's just said, but when Anthony was asking for the evidence for the iron core and its attributes,
that's a completely different issue.
You didn't provide any links.
Double standard much? Double standard much?
Watching the show.
It's not a double standard.
Some type of a link. I was waiting for some type of a link or a source. So then I could go look into these claims that you and this other person were making against Anthony, and you were telling him he had to believe you because you were telling him...
Let me elaborate the point then.
Before you do, can I just introduce Anthony, because he is actually on the panel now. So we've been joined by Sleeping Warrior. How are you doing, Anthony?
I'm doing great, Nathan. Just want to literally a flyby. Jeremy was saying that it's not his job to present evidence. So in the absence of the flat Earth...
Oh, it looks like we've been joined by a sniper. So, great.
That's another straw man. He didn't say he didn't have to present evidence. He said he didn't. It wasn't his job to present evidence for other people. If they make a claim, they produce their evidence to back up that claim.
And he was doing the usual.
Answer the question that I put across then, Jim.
He was doing the usual. I'm not spoon feeding you sort of thing, and you know that claim isn't true. Listen, let me just elaborate so I can get the point out. There are images from Apollo that are single frame photographic images shot by humans with cameras on photographic film. Okay, they are not CGI. Now,
okay, yeah, I'll agree.
And then if we look at the current satellites that are taking images of full images, and there's 4 of them.
Ones and zeros.
That can't be called CGI because the image.
Well, it's data. That's
from.
It's not a real image.
Give me a break.
It's a data that's translated and wrapped around a ball.
Because all digital images are data.
I could grab that data. And
right. The image is created from what the data that's received by the camera. It's not generated by a computer. Adam, stop talking. I'm talking. There's no point in us both talking at exactly the same time.
Well, you're telling me that the ISS and all these other satellites are taking pictures. They don't take pictures.
Okay, well.
What do they take,
Any reason why I should believe that?
Well, you're supposed to be knowledgeable on this topic. Yeah, it looks like I've done more research than you. They take data shots. They
you just made a baseless claim.
Those ones and zeros. Those ones and zeros are then translated into a picture.
So an astronaut,
the data is translated
with a digital camera on the ISS taking a photograph and posting that photograph on Twitter. That is not, in your opinion, a genuine.
So they've got a strong enough signal to send it back to each other. So they've got like a good Wi-Fi connection on the ISS. Is that what you're trying to imply?
I'm not implying that at all.
Well, that's what you just said. You said that they're going to send it back on Twitter. Well, do they have a Wi-Fi connection? How are they going to do this? What technology do they have on the ISS that allows them to communicate via the internet?
They have an internet connection. I don't know the technical. I don't know the technical details of that. Neither do you.
Wi-Fi. What you're implying is they've got Wi-Fi on the ISS. I can walk outside right now. And
that isn't what I implied. It doesn't. Who says it has to be Wi-Fi?
They have a satellite connection.
Yeah, they do TV broadcasts and so on. I mean, there's no reason they can't send data back to the Earth. Digital images are all data. You go out with your digital camera, take a photograph. What you have is simply digital data.
Right.
You require a camera or a computer to convert that into an image.
That's right, and the data can be misrepresented by putting it, placing it, wrapping it around a globe.
Yeah, so can any photograph.
Mm.
And photographs can be
You've got to prove now that these
polarized.
You've got to prove
the original Apollo images were taken on film.
Hey, real quick, in the back chat, I gave the link to the direct quote of the guy from NASA.
Right, and what is the direct? Well, let's see it. Let's see what the direct.
You've got to prove that the images that you have faith in actually
and
are.
This is where he's talking. Sorry, Adam, go ahead.
You're the ones that have faith in these pictures.
He doesn't have anything to say when he isn't interrupting anybody.
Right. The link that you've provided is where the guy's talking about I think it's the 2012 version of the Blue Marble. He's talking specifically about that image or actual collection.
Is that the one where North America changes size by like 50%?
No.
But he's talking about that.
Because like in 2006, there's one with like North America.
Okay, well, let's deal with that claim when we've dealt with your first claim, which is that all images from NASA are CGI. So why have you shown me a video?
I said all images.
Why?
I said all images of space. All images of outer space, deep outer space, all that fairy tale bullcrap. Yeah.
Now you're changing what you're saying. So now you're lying again. So
yeah, he knows he's lying too. He knows he's lying too.
It seems you don't like me to clarify. I'm clarifing. I'm not saying that every image is ever taken.
You're changing.
Well, technically,
you didn't mention movies. You said all NASA's
technically
images.
He isn't lying.
CGI.
You've just said.
All
just
space
said to
images.
me. No, just wait. You just said to me that all images have to be interpreted by a computer. So then, therefore, all images are computer-generated images. So then, all images are CGI.
That's not the rabbit hole.
No, they're not, because they're not generated by the computer. They're generated by a camera and interpreted by a
digital camera, which is a digital computer.
Brighter green.
Then add the clouds back in.
There's a small problem with it because there's a very slight gap in between each orbit.
So some of those are painted on.
It is photoshopped, but it's has to be.
Then
there was another layer to sort of simulate the atmosphere.
And then there's this little bright spot.
It's called the specular highlight. So it's the reflection of sunlight off of water.
Those are the pieces, but you can't just slap them all together.
It just didn't look realistic. It looks kind of flat, or the clouds are sort of too see-through. So I just hit Command Z a lot.
There's artistry to creating the world.
What I imagine it to be. Unfortunately, I'm not an astronaut. I've never been to space, but I've looked at these images over and over again, trying to sort of get the essence of it.
So it doesn't say what was claimed.
Correct.
And we're still left with the photographs taken on film by the original Apollo missions and others.
Been joined by P. Mars. Very pleased to have you here, P.
I got a banana with a Star Wars logo on it. I like Star Wars.
Fairy tales, cool.
Star Wars was always fiction. You
just
believe
like the
in the flat Earth,
just like a spinning ball.
Fiction, or make it be more.
Just like a spinning ball of rock, when all of our observations from this plane prove that we're stationary, motionless, and even globe heads will agree on that.
Well, we've just seen the quality of your observations, so.
Well, it's a lot of you got to shake off a lot of crap when you realize half the stuff you've been spoon fed is BS.
You mean you got to make a lot of stuff up?
Yeah.
No, we're just discerning truth. We're objectively discerning truth. There seems to be a lot of special interests that don't
if
want
you're
us to have
so
this
interested
knowledge.
in the truth, what about addressing the fact that Apollo photographs were taken on film? What is CGI about those?
I want to know what medium was blocking out the starlight, since that moon doesn't have an atmosphere. If these guys were actually using,
was blocking out
called exposure level.
The exposure level.
So why was the exposure levels capturing all the light on the surface, but none of the light on the sky?
So you
Since
could
we know
see
there's no medium. There's no
because
medium
there's a lot of light reflected from the surface.
And very little light coming from little.
But what is the light reflecting off the surface
stars.
interacting
Why
with?
can't you see stars during the day?
There's no atmosphere on the surface of the moon to interfere with. There's no reflective atmosphere to interfere with. So again, what medium is this light interfering with to block the starlight? Go.
Not interfering with it. And this is it. You say you're interested in the truth, and then when someone provides a perfectly rational explanation for what you question.
My explanation is much more detailed.
Hang on, let somebody finish a sentence for once. When somebody provides a perfectly reasonable explanation for what is actually observed, rather than consider that and see whether it is valid or not, you simply restate the same assertion over and over again without providing any evidence to back up.
So here's my evidence. Here's my evidence.
Stars in
Here is my evidence. The reason the scientists claim we don't see starlight on Earth is due to the sunlight reflecting and refracting in the daylight with the atmosphere. And at night, the interference is so low enough that we can see the starlight. I can buy that.
No,
now the issue is, just let me finish. I let you finish with your BS. Now you're going to let me finish.
Your BS.
So if there isn't a medium like an atmosphere on the surface of the moon, what is the medium that this light from the surface is interfering with? Because there's no atmosphere, which is the medium on Earth, which you guys claim blocks out the light. So this medium is absent on this supposed surface of the supposed physical tangible object. Now, what is interfering with this light to block out starlight to pick up all of the light resolution on the surface? Go.
The daylight blue sky is caused by sunlight being scattered. That is not the reason, or the only reason, that you cannot see the stars during the day on Earth. It's the fact that the sun is there in the sky.
Yes, interfering with the atmosphere.
Will you let me finish? The astronauts were on the moon taking those photographs during the day part of the moon, when the moon was lit by the sun. The sun was in the sky. A great deal of light was reflected from the lunar surface. A lot of light reflected off the astronauts themselves and so on. And the exposure levels required to take photographs is obviously therefore necessarily short.
Okay.
And so there's not enough exposure time to see the stars. However, having said all of that, there are Apollo photographs that do have some stars, because the exposure level and the direction the camera was pointing and so on allow those stars to actually appear. So there are stars in some of the Apollo images.
Now, here is the major contention. What medium is blocking out the starlight? What medium is
not a medium? It's the exposure level on the camera.
But
there
needs to be a medium to cause this interference. If there isn't a medium, there is no interference. If there isn't a medium, there is no interference.
Right, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to, as you're all kind of talking over each other, I'm just going to introduce Agricultural Power. How are you doing, my friend? Very pleased to have you here.
I'm good. Thanks.
If you take a photograph of a bright light with a very short exposure, and there is a dimly lit...
Are we assuming empty space? Or are we
and there is a dimly
lit what are we assuming, sir?
Nearby. I was speaking. Can you let me finish?
But are we assuming an empty space? Or are we assuming in an atmosphere, ether-like world? Which
one
are we assuming?
Take a picture of a candle. Take a picture of a candle in a darkened room. Adjust the exposure level so that you can see the candle clearly. Everything else in the room will be dark. It doesn't mean they aren't there.
We have a medium-like substance called ether in between us. So are we talking about the vacuum of space on a supposed object like the moon? They don't have this substance, okay?
You don't know how cameras work.
This needs to be clear. If you guys keep trying to make two analogies, if you try to keep making two analogies with two different mediums, you guys are just showing your willful ignorance. You're just demonstrating your willful ignorance.
You are being utterly disingenuous. There is no need for any medium at all.
No, there is actually a distinctive need for
starlight to not appear in a photograph. And if your only challenge to the Apollo photographs is that there should be stars in them, then your original assertion
I never said there should be stars in them. I want to know what mechanism is the light interfering with to block it out.
Because there needs to be blocking out. There's no interference.
Yes, no, you said there's interference from the reflection on the surface. But what medium is it reflecting into? I need to know this.
Before you answer, Miles, I'm really sorry to interrupt you again. We've been joined by Event Skeptic. How are you doing, Event Skeptic? Is Event Skeptic just sniping people? Looks that way. Sorry to interrupt you guys. Oh, we've been rejoined by few guests that have been sniped. Sorry about the confusion. I'm doing my best to keep them out.
That's all good. It's just any kind of interference requires a medium for it to interfere in, and the supposed tangible moon object is in the vacuum of space with no medium. There's no medium for the light to interfere in.
There is no interference.
You said it was the reflection of the light on the surface. It needs to be interfering into a medium. There is no medium on the supposed tangible surface of this physical
Why does it need to interfere? Why does it need to be interfered with?
Well, then what mechanism, what other mechanism is blocking out the starlight? Go.
I got a quick question.
There is no blocking of the starlight. End of
Then why are the stars absent? Go.
Because the exposure level is low.
Stop saying go at the end of every
Why are the star absent? Go.
Hey.
Because the exposure level is low.
And okay, what medium are these lights interfering with? Go.
Let me just get this
They're
in.
Not interfering. What? You're just talking nonsense.
If you take a look around, Facebook or the internet, just look for snapshots taken at night time where people aren't deliberately trying to take a picture of the stars. and you won't find any pictures with stars in them. They're just, they're just not bright enough to appear on film when the film's being exposed for, brighter objects in the foreground.
Sorry, Truth, can you mute when you're not talking? It's just you're cutting what everyone's saying. Thanks.
When astronomers take pictures of stars, they take them over long exposures and they stack the images on top of each other to gather light over time rather than over a long period of time, because in a short exposure photograph there just isn't enough light from a star to hit the camera. However, on Apollo they did take pictures of stars using infrared spectroscopy.
This isn't a contention of mine. I know there are images that show starlight.
You can find those pictures if you look for them.
No, we're wasting time because my contention isn't that there isn't images of starlight. I wanted to hear an explanation on what medium with the light off the surface.
Well, you heard it about 50 times.
And you guys keep saying it doesn't need to be a medium, but there does need to be a medium.
But that's just your gibberish.
This is showing your ignorance of the topic. You don't even understand what's going on. So it's just demonstrating your ignorance.
But you don't understand how a camera works. A simple exposure setting on a camera works. That's all it is. It's nothing to do with mediums or reflection.
Yes, but if you take an image on Earth,
just gibberish that you made up.
Assuming the moon is a physical spherical object, okay, would a camera be in the same medium as it is on Earth? No, it wouldn't. Okay,
cameras aren't medium.
No, but if you were taking the image on this surface where we all live on, and then supposing that it is a tangible spherical object up there called the moon that you can stand on and eat all the cheese you want up there, talk about fairy tooth arc minutes, assuming that that is real, we know that there is no atmosphere and there is no medium in which we have here. I call it the ether, you guys call it atmosphere, whatever.
Does the exposure level does adjusting on the exposure level in a camera?
Nice.
Can I share
for once the crooks are here. Oh wait, you keep cutting
Somebody seems to be spiking things.
Yeah. It's not on. Unnecessary and just silly.
Yeah.
You guys just won't believe what you're spoon-fed.
Why should there be any medium? All there is the vacuum of space on the moon, or a virtually absent atmosphere.
I'll tell you why there needs to be a medium.
There's no need for a medium in order to take a picture.
Because my same scientism textbooks say that the reason why we don't see starlight 24/7 on Earth is due to the medium of the light interfering with the atmosphere of the ether. Okay, so we know their own model says that they can see starlight starlight the entirety of the moon because there is no medium interfering with the starlight, whether it's day, night, or whatever. They claim that you can see starlight at all times because there's no medium to interfere with, and this just shows that you guys don't even know your own model.
Can you guys see my photo?
Completely wrong. Yeah, thank you for that photograph. You've pinged it up a few times and it's terrific because it shows the moon and those stars.
I took this photo personally myself, so I could swear that this is real. And there's stars in the sky, but why aren't they on the photo? Because of the way photos are taken, exposure.
And there's a medium in which the realm, if you took that photo, that isn't claimed to exist on the spherical object of the moon. They admit that there is none of this. There is none of this substance up there. Okay, so there's no medium for it. They even claim that you can see starlight in daylight or night on the moon because there's no medium for interference. Your own globe model says this. So you guys need to go back and start studying your scientism.
And you're just making stuff up. There is no reason why you should not be able to see stars. But if you are taking a photograph on the moon of the lunar surface brightly lit by the sun, or taking it partly the lunar surface and partly the Earth in the distance, the exposure level you would use in order to be able to view those objects would be such that you would not see the stars. If you used if you were looking with the naked eye, you might well see some stars. If you were to increase the exposure level, you would see the stars, but grossly overexpose the subject of the photograph. It's really not difficult to understand. All you need is to understand how cameras work.
Okay, just look into the consensus of mainstream science. They will admit that you should be able to capture and see starlight no matter what the conditions are on the lunar surface. Okay, this is something they admit, and you guys are having trouble.
Where is that? They point the camera at the sky only, but they were pointing the camera at the surface and at each other and at the lunar module and the rover and so on. So they were not pointing the camera just at the sky to capture the starlight. Okay. It's not difficult to understand.
I understand that contention. The issue is what medium is interfering to block out the stuff in the sky.
It does not need to be a medium, and there is no medium.
Okay, all right. I'll just have to accept that. There's no medium.
Yes,
up
you
there.
will do. Yeah. Because it's the truth.
It's totally tangible, bruh. It's totally tangible.
You could test this very easily yourself with a camera. All you have to do is be in a position where you can see some stars. Pull your phone out, take a picture of them.
We have an ether-like atmosphere or substance around us. I'm talking about on a totally void, empty space, spherical object, which I guess doesn't make sense the more you say it.
But if it's a condition of the atmosphere, then you wouldn't be able to see the stars with your eye, would you? It wouldn't stay.
That's exactly my point. Is the supposed physical moon model says there is no interference of starlight, whether it's day or night. That is what the current
You're
model
missing
says.
My point then, because my point is
stop
talking. I'm talking now. Stop talking. My point is, if at night time you can see stars already with your eyes, you're already seeing them, and then you take out your phone and take a picture of them, you'll find they won't be there on the phone.
Yes, because we have a medium, ether, like substances
why isn't
in our
it
realm.
Affecting your eyes then? Why isn't it stopping your eyes from seeing?
I don't know. This whole debate has clearly showed that
the medium only affects eyes, but it doesn't.
What we've been told about optics and light hasn't been.
So the medium only affects cameras, but it doesn't affect.
We're just finding out that what we've been told about optics and light. We are finding out through this discussion that what we've been taught, conditioned, classically through optics and light, isn't turning out to be what's in reality and repeatable.
So what you're claiming is that this medium affects light when it goes in a camera, but it doesn't affect light going in your eyes.
No, I think this medium is actually what light can propagate through. This medium.
Well, that has to be the case, isn't it? If what you're saying is true.
But this medium is supposedly not.
Truth, listen to me for a minute.
On the moon surface of the sphere.
You're both going to get interrupted. I'm sorry, because we've been joined by Pete Shea, and I just want to make sure it's him. So, how are you doing, Pete?
Yeah, how you doing, Nathan? Not too bad. Hi, Eleanor.
She says hello.
So, Truth.
That sounds like him.
So, Truth.
Be a voice changer.
Truth. If you're saying that if you can see stars with your naked eye and then get a camera out, take a picture of them, and then they're not on the picture, you're saying that's an effect of this medium.
Actually, absolutely not. I'm saying that the current spherical model of the moon
why would that be the case?
You can't even let me get a concise point out. I'm claiming that the own model of this globe spinning solar system BS says that the starlight on the moon, tangible moon, should be visible at all times, never being blocked out or drowned out. Never.
Yeah, we know that. That's why I interrupted you, because I want to get to the point. Rather than just hear you repeat the same thing that you've already said about 6 times already.
Now, if what I'm saying
you're saying that this is an effect of this medium, and I want you to explain it to me. Why is it affecting a camera and not your eye on Earth?
It does affect your eye because you don't see starlight in the day. Hello.
Yeah, but we're talking about the example I've given. Hello is at nighttime when you can see stars. I was very clear about that.
You're too short with sending the insult. I do it when I start imitating you, I do it much more tactfully at better timing. Your timing was a little too short on that one.
You have no sense of
your comedic timing. Your comedic timing was way
constantly. So my question again is, if I can see stars at nighttime with my eyes and then whip out a camera, take a snapshot, and they're not on the image, why? Why is that?
Can you guys see the image that I'm presenting? It's an image
because of
with
exposure.
A far ultraviolet camera.
Yes, exposure due to a world where light propagates through a medium. What is the medium on the surface of the moon? Go ahead. Exactly. You have nothing. Crickets. Bloody crickets.
You have nothing, Truth, do you? I've just described a situation for you that you cannot explain with
I
your
just
gibberish.
We are in a realm.
With a single word,
we live in a realm that has a medium which light can interfere and propagate through. This medium is claimed to not exist on the spherical, tangible moon. So what medium is causing the interference of the photographs? Go.
So you have no way of explaining your gibberish. Can we leave it?
You keep trying to keep two analogies that aren't analogous. You keep trying to make it sound someone taking images on this earth with an ether-like medium.
It's a simple situation. You can see
in the vacuum of empty space.
I'm describing exactly the same situation. A situation where stars are visible, but you take a picture and they're not visible in the picture. It's exactly the same situation. It's not a different situation. And your claim is that this is due to some medium.
I'm saying it very well could be.
Which would be present for your eyes and for the camera.
The spherical moon model does say
your
that
medium
starlight is
theory
visible at all
doesn't work,
times.
does it?
No, your model doesn't work because it says the spherical moon will show stars at all times. They will never be drowned out. They will never be interfered with. It shows stars at all times. That's what's cool about this supposed fairy tale black space.
Cameras are not the eyes as well, Jeremy, of course. Cameras were designed by men with eyes. So you have to sort of equate different measuring instruments. But the Miles had something to, I didn't see it. Did he have something to?
What are you trying to suggest with that, Pete? Because you can make a pinhole camera very easy. Stick a bit of photographic paper under it and it will record an image. So it seems like you're trying to suggest that men somehow rigged cameras to produce images that would fool us in some way. Is that what you're suggesting?
No. But you can't imitate the eye, right? The eye is perfect compared to any camera.
And get changed and ready for tonight. So there probably won't be time for a haircut. I'll get one later.
Sorry if I took over a bit there, Miles.
We didn't see your presentation there, Miles, but we didn't need to, I guess, if you said it was coming from Apollo 16.
I need to get back up here for about 5:30 so that I can switch heating on in the main building and get it warm.
Miles, with regards to tomorrow, can we do 9:30 a.m.?
Oh, cold. Anyway, all right.
Miles.
See you in a minute. No, 10. Okay, bye.
I think he might be on the phone.
Oh, right. I thought he was talking to us.
I thought he was at first.
Right, okay. Right, while we've got a lull in conversation, is it okay if I change topic slightly? Something quite interestingly contentious.
That's grinding on a bit.
How you doing, Anthony?
I'm doing good, Pete. Thanks for asking. You?
Yeah, not too bad, man.
It appears that Soundly's done his Lake Pontchartrain experiment over the weekend. And for those that are not familiar, he's gone back to Pontchartrain and he's put mile marker lights every mile up to the last one being somewhere between 7.5 and 8 miles. The point that he was trying to prove wasn't so much what was the last light visible. It was more to do with the shape of the lights in the middle. But I had a hangout with Imrich's gaff, and we got to speak like adults. There wasn't any trolls in there. It was just talking. And basically, I was able to predict what he would see based on flat Earth evidence. And I predicted that he would see all of the lights leading up to the final light and including the final light. Soundly predicted that some of the lights would be missing because they'd fallen behind the curve of the Earth. I'm not entirely sure of the results so far, but on his channel he's given one video that basically admits that he sees all of them, which was not his prediction. So keep your eyes peeled for Soundly in the next couple of days. He's going to be doing something to show the evidence or the results of the experiment, because they're not quite what he predicted. They were exactly what I predicted. So for those interested in anything to do with
just at this point then, does that mean then that you think that Soundly's observations on this occasion are reliable and that we should trust them?
Well, he was doing it with who was it now? I don't remember the guy's name.
Because you know, last time you tried to claim that he'd CGI'd it somehow, and you did this on the basis of an osprey sitting on a electricity pylon.
Yeah,
so
I
was wondering how that fits into this.
Nummy Num. That was the assertion made by Nummy Num. Yes. But what my point is
that
he's done the experiment
repeatedly,
now.
Anthony, and fought for it for about 4 hours in a hangout. And I think you're still making it. And I still hear people making that same claim who heard your nonsense. So it's just interesting that Soundly apparently is now reliable, according to you.
He's done the experiment with Jesse Kalowski, and Jesse Kalowski is a surveyor of some kind. He's either a chartered surveyor or something. I don't know what kind of surveyor, but
he doesn't have access to CGI Ospreys.
Well, it would be a catastrophic failure of fraud, wouldn't it? If there were 2 of them doing it, it's a lot more credible when 2 people do the experiment because it means that they go
Soundly
together.
uploading it, filming it, and uploading it live. That wasn't good enough for you. That could still have been CGI.
The point is, he's done it based on a 5-foot height above the water on the stanchions of the bridge, and according to the curve calculations, the last 6, 7, and 8 will be disappeared. And now that was what his prediction was. But when he's done the experiment, he was able to see them all, which is prominent given.
Hold on, he hasn't published the results of this experiment, so let's hold your horses.
Well, no. Right. I'm quoting exactly from his video. I'm literally uploading the video now.
Well, you said lights, and now you're talking about stanchions. So
what he's done is the pillars that hold the bridge up. He's put a strap around the pillar, and then he's attached the lights to the strap, and they're all at 5 feet. So as he goes further and further back, 8 miles of distance, they should disappear, and the 6th, 7th, and 8th one should not be visible. I predicted that you would see all of them because I was applying the principles observed with Taboo Conspiracy's 8-mile observation, which was clearly showing the light at 8 miles. Soundly said no, there would be some lights missing. Now, he's admitted already that he saw all of the lights, which he wasn't expecting. That was not his prediction. So
you don't know the camera height, Anthony.
And what we're gonna find, Miles, I'm sure, is that these lights that are visible that shouldn't be visible are much lower than the other lights. But Anthony's going to try and center on the idea that because his prediction was that some wouldn't be visible, that's all he needs to come up with. Because now they are visible.
I predicted that they would be
sufficient, even though they're obviously curving away.
Jeremy, I predicted that the lights would be up to and including the 8th or the last one would all be visible, and they would form a wave. Some would be a little bit higher, some would be a little bit lower than expected, but they would all be present, and it would be effectively a little smudge. And that's applying the principles of refraction.
See how easy it is to get to the meat of Anthony. It's just so brilliant.
It's a perfect curve, and if the camera height is 15 feet, they should all be visible.
Yeah, so the camera height's 5.
You know the camera height, Anthony.
5.
You don't know.
5 feet, I believe. I don't know exactly how his experiment was performed, but I know that he was aiming at 5 feet for the height of the lights. So I'm going to assume that he put the camera at 5 feet too. But we'll see with the results.
Why are you assuming that, Anthony? Wait until he produces his videos and shows you.
Well, he's already admitted he could see the lights, all of them. So on that basis, it means that the last few were not missing as per his prediction. That's a bit of a problem for Sound.
You haven't seen everything, Anthony. You don't know yet. So hang on.
I'm quoting him in my video.
If you're right
now.
If when the camera is at 5 feet, they are all visible, then that would be something that would require some sort of alternative explanation. Maybe.
No, they're not. Miles, you've got your maths wrong.
But if the camera in those shots that he's published so far is at 15 feet or higher, then there's no reason why they should not all be visible.
Miles, here real quick.
You've got your
Miles,
you've got your maths wrong.
For you to debunk the current,
current
sphere?
You've got your maths wrong. The distance in miles is just below 8 feet, and the viewer height, I believe, is 5. So the refracted hidden drop is 36 feet worth of drop for the final one. That means that
you're looking at refracted. You're looking at drop, not at hidden. You see, you don't understand the way the curve works.
Oh, right. So I'm dishonestly misrepresenting it. Is that what you're saying?
Because I've heard this. I'm saying you don't understand it.
Bandied
it's
around,
not the drop,
and we've not had
it
explained yet.
It's the hidden amount.
While I run through a few links, as we have approximately 1 hour left on this broadcast. So, if you are new to this channel, or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a link to Super Chat that runs alongside the show while it is live. And most importantly, if you would like to join the show as NegatorXX has just done, simply click on the link in the info box below this video. Be sure to mute the page you are currently watching before you click on that link. Then click the link to join the show and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number 1, please do not swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. Number 2, if you are ejected, please do not try to rejoin the show using sock accounts. You will be warmly welcome back on the next stream. One more time, if you've not shared the show, please share the show, as it increases the audience, which increases the chances of a more diverse panel. With that, I'll hand you back to the guys in the debate.
Who's Anthony?
Whatever maths,
for these
whatever maths you want to apply, Miles, some of them are meant to be missing by his own assertion, and he saw them all.
I'm looking at this video with the really, really obvious, massive amounts of obstruction in it. But there's some lights, so there's no curve.
Have you looked at the video I just posted in the chat?
There's like half of a building missing. How do you account for that, Anthony?
I don't know what you're looking at.
Jesse Kozlowski's like Pontchartrain thing.
Can you put a link in the general chat? Because obviously I'm not in the Hangout.
You're just talking about it. You don't need me to provide a link. You've just talked about it, right?
No. I didn't mention Jesse Kozlowski's video at all.
Anthony, if you can give me a time for tomorrow, that would be brilliant.
Well, I was trying to talk to you before. I suggested 9:30. Is that okay by you?
He's gone. He's gone, man.
If you're listening, Miles, 9:30 works for me. If that works for you, I can't do 9.
Hey Nathan, I'm gonna get Soundly in here, so I'm just inviting
you. Anthony, you posted that.
Sorry, Pete. Can I just introduce Tim Osman? Sorry, Pete.
That's a repo. All right.
We've been joined by Tim Osman. Very pleased to have you.
Yeah, I'm getting Soundly in here. I'm just inviting him.
Oh, has he done a runner again?
Oh, has he gone already? Sorry to interrupt.
Keeps doing these hit and runs.
One more thing. I'll just shout out Shield Scanner for his donation to the Super Chat. Thank you very much, Shield Scanner.
Anthony, I think you posted the original video, but I think maybe this guy went out and did it again. So this is from 5 feet over frozen, slightly frozen lake anyway, and his wife is at the other side. So that's across 8 miles or 7 3/4 miles, I think. And there should be 15, 16 feet of curvature of drop, and there's absolutely none, even down to the water level.
You're on about Taboo Conspiracy, yeah? Yeah, Taboo Conspiracy was able. That was the video that I cited to give the prediction that I gave, which was you would see all of the lights. And Soundly was clear by saying, no, you will definitely not see all of them. And I said, but what if you do?
Sorry to interrupt you, Anthony. We've been joined by Soundly. Very pleased to have you here, Soundly.
Thanks, Nathan.
Good to have you here.
You're Soundly.
Hello, everyone.
I believe you've done your experiment over the weekend.
I'm talking about a different video that I just posted in the main chat here, Anthony.
I'd like to have a chance to respond to what Anthony was just saying.
Yeah.
Great.
So I don't know what you're thinking, but all of the evidence that we have supports the globe. So I'm not sure.
In the video that you've got the big crack in the windscreen where you're driving back.
I can see 7 lights. I can see 7 miles from the top of the Rama Levee, which I've always been able to do. Which you should be able to do.
You see the curvature with your
Pete, the guy's only just joined. Hold on, guys. Pete, the guy's literally just joined. He's got about 2 sentences out.
Right.
Can you at least give him a couple of minutes to just, the guy's done a lot of work. Let him present what he's got to present. Come on.
Okay.
So me and Jesse are going to be doing some hangouts to present what we have. Giving Jesse some time to get back home and be able to process all of his data. He's got a lot of work left to do. We'll be presenting hopefully this week, at least by next weekend. And yeah, so from the top of the Rama Levee, we can see 7 of the lights, which is 7 miles, which is expected. But from the bottom of the levee, you can't see all the lights. You can only see about 4, I think.
Is that what you predicted?
Jesse has some really good shots with the theodolite where you can only see the 4 lights in his shots.
Sam, did you get evidence showing it at the bottom of the levee?
I'm sorry?
Did you get evidence to show what you said that you could only see 4 of them? Did you get evidence from the bottom of the levee where you said that was what you saw?
Yeah, Jesse has some shots of that, yep, at the lower levels.
Great.
Yep.
So, hang on. So what you're saying is that you didn't take it from the... Right, so you did it at 2 different heights, is that right?
We took a whole bunch of pictures from different heights, yeah.
Great. So is it going to be days, hours before we can see it?
I literally just said, hopefully this week. By next weekend, we'll probably have our first hangout.
Yeah, you broke up badly when you said it, though. I didn't quite catch what you were saying. It's okay. So, do you remember what your prediction was before when we were in Rick's channel? Remember what your prediction was?
I remember you pushed me for a prediction, and I remember me saying I'm not going to make one.
Well, I can quote you as saying that there would be some lights missing. Did you see any lights missing?
There were lights missing. I just said that. I literally just said that.
And when you say there were lights missing, was that at the lake level or was that somewhere else?
Of course, the lower you go down, the less lights you're going to see. Yeah.
Great. Look forward to seeing the results.
And cue the CGI ospreys.
Saturday, that was my question. Sorry for imposing, but do you see any of this phenomena that you present with your naked eye, or is it all just associated with images under zoom?
Yeah, you can see it with your naked eye, especially with the lights there. It's really easy to see with the lights there. It's, whenever you go to the causeway, you can see it. It's hard to tell. Like if you never look through a zoom, then it's hard to know that's what you're looking at, right? Because the angular resolution is very small. We can resolve it with our eyes, but it's not a lot of information to go on. But you can see it, yes.
Right. So the vast majority of people would fail to see any evidence of curvature with the naked eye, but it's only under zoom that it does become apparent.
No, it's not. It's not only under zoom. You can see it with your eyes.
But trained, you'd have to really look for it and really sort of seek it out.
No, I can see it, and I'm an idiot. I see
if you know where to look, and what you're looking for.
Mars seen the curvature out his window, he said.
Yeah, I see the same. I live in Fargo, North Dakota. You can go look it up. We're flatter than Kansas. It's flat as hell, and I can see the treetops curve up out my window, just like in Soundly's Lake Pontchartrain.
Now there's no way that's a visual phenomena associated with how your eyes work, how they interact with.
It looks exactly like Soundly's image, what I see with my own eyes.
Well, I've already busted Soundly's image, which is
no one has busted.
Yes, I have. You've taken as real both reflected imagery and direct vision, right? This is what's happening, and it's given the illusion of curvature. And I've pointed out this mirrored layer again and again and again. It's always present over distance.
The best thing,
zoom, always present, because
the best thing about
it's a function of the water, the acuteness of the angle, right? And yeah, that's what it's a function of. And you won't deal with it. None of you will deal with it. It explains sunsets. All this apparent curvature.
We've all dealt with that mirage layer, the mirror layer, you like to call it.
Yep.
We've all dealt with that. We tried to explain to you that is, what does that matter for the tops of things, like for the top of the transmission lines, for example?
Well, no. If you would misidentify the horizon, forget about the transmitter lines.
Or what does that matter? What does that matter whenever you can see the curvature literally 3 miles before the horizon?
I'm telling you, if you misidentify this horizon, right?
Okay, well, the best thing about this footage,
everything is going to be viewed. Everything is going to be.
The best thing about this footage is that there is no mirror. There's no mirroring going on. We took it in very cold conditions. No, there won't always be. If you take it in the right conditions, you avoid that effect, and that's why we chose to do it during the winter. Because the reason that happens is because of water vaporizing at the surface. That's why it's happening.
No, it's not. It's water.
Yeah,
it's a
yes,
function
it
of
is.
the acuteness of, excuse me, it's a function of the acuteness of viewing angle over much distance, right? And it's, you know, if you
No, it's
didn't
not.
realize that water and light.
I'm not going to argue with you about it, Pete. All I can tell you is that we have footage that doesn't have the mirror in it. We'll be showing it.
Right.
We'll be presenting it real soon.
How far in the distance were you zoomed in on?
That's one of the questions I was going to ask. How far away did you from the lights, the first light? How far were you from the first light?
The Little Tinsus Bayou, the water stretches 7.2 miles. We hung a lamp at the 0 mile all the way out to the 8, or so all the way out to the 7 mile. So we had 8 lamps. Each one of them represented about a mile.
What height did you put the lamps at?
What's that?
Just my last question. What height did you place your lamps at?
Can I answer your first question? So we're looking over 7 miles. That's what we're looking at. We have some observations over 24 miles now. So we're going to have some interesting things to show you guys.
What height did you put your lamps?
The lamps were at 5 feet above the water.
Were you trying to replicate Bedford-Loveless experiment?
We did do a modern take on the Bedford-Level experiment, yes.
Are you aware that the Bedford-Loveless experiment did it at 6 inches of height, specifically?
Doesn't matter. What does that matter?
Yeah, because it minimizes the atmospheric refraction.
No, the lower to the water you go, the more refraction you get.
No, the lower to the water you get, the less atmosphere you get.
The closer to the water you go, the closer to the ground, the more atmosphere you're dealing with.
Yeah, Sally,
So,
you got that backwards, Billy.
Why would we do that? Why would you get closer to the water?
That was what Bedford-Loveless did. It did it at 6 inches rather than 5 feet.
Right, and then they redid it, and they put it higher to reduce atmospheric refraction. They made it higher.
So what was
the first time they did the experiment? They didn't get really good results because of the refraction. So they put the mirrors or whatever up higher.
Have you got any?
Sorry to interrupt you guys. I just want to say a quick introduction to Paul. Sorry to interrupt. Paul, how you doing?
Yeah, good.
Good to have you here, my friend.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome, Paul.
Thanks.
Yeah, school children used to do the Bedford-Level experiment to prove that the Earth was a globe, but flat earthers have yet to do this experiment in 3 years for some reason.
You were a flat earther once, P. Mars. What was the best piece of evidence that convinced you and swayed you away from your lifelong education regarding the globe Earth?
Well, because I know we live in a scientific dictatorship, and we could be brainwashed and indoctrinated to believe just about anything.
Right, so you were a flat earther for a while, so you came away from that brainwashing. I'm assuming for very good reasons you didn't step into this lightly. So what was your best piece of evidence that swayed you away from, again, this lifelong, well, you're not going to say the globe Earth is indoctrination, right? That's truth-telling to you. So what was the best piece of information that took you away from the truth-telling?
I mean, I was just open to the idea it might be flat, and I remember researching it and hearing like Nathan and Antonio talking about gyroscopes proving that the Earth was flat, and then I would research all the claims that the flat earthers made, and like none of it really convinced me. I was like waiting to talk to a flat earther that had good evidence, but I never really found one.
So you never were really a flat earther then?
I mean, I don't know. Whatever. I mean,
it's really livered about it, Mars, right? It's not a sort of topic that you enter.
Well, how do you even define what a flat earther is? Because first of all, flat earthers don't agree on anything. There's no model.
Well, in a general sense, we live on a stationary.
Most flat earthers are just questioning things, right? So in that sense, I was a flat earther.
No, most flat earthers, all flat earthers, would hold the view that we live on a stationary and a level, relatively plane. Simple as that.
Well, a lot of the ones I hear on Hangouts just say that they're not convinced either way. And I would have been in that camp.
Why? Okay, well, I mean, then they're not flat earthers as the term applies, right?
Well, I mean, it's however you want to label people. It's a semantical argument.
No, it's not. It's a basic sort of word use to make the distinction between globe earthers, spinning ball earthers, and non-spinning, non-ball earthers, if you will. So I'm glad you admitted that you became a flat earther sort of half-heartedly, if at all, and then you reverted back because you found that there was no adequate evidence, which I think for most flat earthers goes completely against the grain. You enter incredulous that this could be true, and then when you do your investigation, you become absolutely certain that it is the case, in a limited sense anyway.
Well, I did my investigation. Like, I have a conspiracy friend in the UK. He passed now, but his name was Mr. Captain Proton, and we used to do 9/11 Truth stuff together. And I asked him, because he was a pilot, so I asked him about, like, oh, what are gyroscopes and planes? What about this flat Earth? And he got, like, this is one of the nicest, sweetest old men I've ever, like, known, and he got pissed off when I asked him about flat Earth. And he's like, I've seen the damn curve. Like, I've never seen him so angry. It was amazing.
So what, man? So what?
So I'm telling you, I researched the claims flat earthers made, and nothing held up. And if they would have, I would have been a flat earther. And I used to argue for the flat earth because I would just argue that the evidence supports the globe, but we would expect that because we live in a scientific dictatorship.
Right. So all the other evidences go out the window. I posted a video in chat there. If you look at it's just a lake test. It's 7.5 miles. Anyone care to deal with it? Paul, you're new here, man. Anyone? Are you new in the conversation? How you doing? Do you care to deal with that? It's just
I've come in halfway through this hangout, so I'm sort of like trying to catch up on what's been said and what's going on. So I'm not really sure what's gone in the hour before this. Maybe someone could quickly just fill me in on what's happened.
Nothing really. This just talk about a curvature calculations or tests, a little bit of controversy. But can you see the side chat here? Can you see my comment in the side chat?
No, I can't see anything in the side chat from my screen.
I'll post that link again then, right? Pretty much, let me just talk you briefly through it. 7.5 mile across a frozen lake, right? And his wife is at the other side with a torchlight at 5 feet. He's there. I'll post the video again. And he can see every flash, every light when she moves from a higher point to a lower point, right down to the water surface. There should be 15 feet of missing curvature according to the formula, but there's absolutely none. You can see the light in real time, on, off. There's no portion whatsoever. So that's the video put into the link, and it's the likes of these videos that have been produced again and again, which do away with the whole notion of curvature according to the given math. This is the point, isn't it?
Yeah, but there are refraction effects, and I'm sure someone's pointed this out, that allow us to see further than what the calculations would allow.
It couldn't be direct. We're being fooled again. His direct vision is fooling him. His camera is fooling us all, and we're not looking at something directly. We're looking at something that's a mirage. We're looking at something that we can see. It's over a drop, and we just get the illusion that we're looking at it in real time, and it's real. Everything is a dream. Row your boat, right?
No, that's special pleading.
You're doing the special pleading.
No.
Look at the video. It's all direct vision. It's all direct vision on a cold night. Over
claiming something's a dream is special pleading.
Well, that was tongue in cheek. I made a little joke at the end there, but it doesn't matter. You're doing the special pleading. You're not dealing directly, first and foremost, with what is been presented to you and what immediately hits your senses, i.e., this is direct vision. You're saying, no, there's curvature here, so therefore, this has to be wrong. If it indicates anything other than curvature, it has to be wrong. And then we start invoking all of these things. If it's not refraction, then it's Fatima Morgana.
I'd like to comment.
Something or other. Whereas in actual fact, it's direct vision and it's direct evidence, proof that your curvature formula is wrong.
Didn't you hear Sandy wants to comment?
Off you go, yeah.
I mean, my evidence is direct proof, Pete. I mean, whenever it hits your senses, the first thing you think is, holy crap, There it is. There's the curvature. So I don't think you're being I don't think you're being honest here, because if you really trusted what your senses were telling you, whenever you looked at my evidence, you would conclude that the Earth is curved.
We were in the same hangout, Soundly, and I took a snapshot from your pylon images and I went through it and I showed you the mirror line, right? Because I already know this mirror water layer is in effect every time over zoom, over distance. And I pointed it out and you refused to accept it. You refused to accept it. It distorts your hang on.
No, it's not an explanation.
I don't refuse to accept it.
It's not an explanation for what Soundly says.
Yeah, I don't deny that there are images that I have mirroring in the images. There's for sure that's there, but the objects are not in the mirroring path. Most of them, the ones that I'm talking about, the subject of my observations is not part of the mirror. And you know about perspective, right? So additionally, hang on. Additionally, I have images that don't have mirror in them. And on top of that, I have images that show curvature well before the horizon. So we're not even to the horizon yet, and you can clearly see the curvature of the water line along the causeway. So none of that, all of those things directly dispute what you're claiming, and you don't ever talk about the pylons. You don't ever talk about those things, even though I've just mentioned it to you again. You're going to avoid talking about that. Yeah, man, I got your point. You can stop talking now. I got your point. I'm going to deal with them. You talked about the pylons, right? So will you agree that the first, say, 20 pylons will take up more space than the next 20 pylons, according to the two-dimensional view we're getting on the video or the image? Of course. So if you got your ruler out, the further away the object is, the more you'll be able to see of those things. Distance decreases in size as the object moves away from you. This is perspective. Right, exactly. But also remember that the number of pylons in any particular set distance, you, for instance, take an inch towards the beginning of the screen, and then you take an inch towards the back of the screen, you'll have many more pylons at the second picking, the second choice there, won't you? This is perspective. And you're saying that because this is not adhering to what you expect to see, therefore curvature. And let me just say about Paul there. So when we have this direct vision and that video you just made a statement, and I'd like to be able to respond to it. Yeah. Okay. Well, I was nearly finished. So perspective maintains straight lines. I mean, that's just how perspective works. So if you see curvature, it's not due to perspective by definition. How do you know perspective always maintains straight lines?
That's how perspective works. That's the definition of perspective. It's yeah, exactly.
Stanley, what happens if your observation conflicts with Taboo Conspiracy's observation at the same distance? If there's a conflict, I tell him to repeat it with more lamps and higher up away from the refraction level.
That perspective maintains straight lines is a ridiculous thing to say, because you are doing the perceiving, right?
No, so this is based on just basic geometry, man. This isn't a claim that somebody's making. This is just the definition of perspective. Yeah, it's the geometric definition of what perspective is.
Okay, let me just post your link here. I haven't got the top, not your link, just a snapshot. I haven't got the top of it. I wish I had the top of it here, but it'll illustrate my point anyway. Can you see my picture?
No, currently we've got Taboo Conspiracies video rolling out that you shared with us a moment ago, Pete.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know that was playing, Nathan. Well, thank you. I didn't know that was playing. I can't see it here, so okay.
Just whilst this is playing, just let me comment.
Before you do, Anthony, just click on my icon if you want to see this video. I did screen share before playing it.
Even in this picture that Pete was showing there, you can see the curvature starts well before the horizon, well before any mirroring level.
Well, I was going to talk my way through that and show you how you are being deceived. You are seeing, as Paul will do, he's seeing curvature, so he's calling curvature. Where is it? The video, Nathan. Hang on. In the video, Nathan is showing here.
You just told us. You just told us that if you use your senses and you trust your senses, then we should be able to see flat, and that's not what your senses are telling you.
Your senses
will be come up with an ad hoc explanation to explain it away, and that's what you're about to do.
No, it's not, man. But
just look at what he's doing there, Sandy.
So
Sandy, look, he's got the flashlight on the ice.
Yeah. Right down. And look at that. Amazing how much it looks like a star, Anthony, isn't it?
I was going to say the other thing to notice is look how it's dancing just like the stars do. And it's just a flashlight.
Now, but this is illusion now, right? So this is illusion now. So this is what Paul is saying. Even though it looks direct, it looks true, it looks clear. This is illusion. But when we see sound curvature at 6 miles, no, that doesn't look like illusion. We want to examine it to see if there's any illusion going on. We just assume that it's what it says in the tin. See, this is the nonsense, and they can't survive it. They can't survive it.
Pete, I have near 2,000 observations now of images and videos that all show curvature.
Explain Nathan's.
You've shown me one, and I don't know anything about it. I don't know any information about it. I don't know the details. I don't know observer height, distances, nothing.
Right.
But I've shown people hundreds and hundreds on my YouTube channel. I've shown people thousands in private chats.
Right.
And they all show the curvature.
Well, so now if you look at that video, right, and that doesn't show curvature, are you going to try and explain it in a different way? Are you going to come out and say, well, it appears that we're looking at direct vision here?
Explain it in a different way? We know that refraction is a thing. That's not something different. That's something we've been talking about for a long time.
Right. But even though he zooms in and out, like you have with your own camera.
There are anomalies. I mean, we know there are anomalies. We know there are superior mirages. You know, we know there's...
Let me point out the anomalies in your... thank you very much for that, Nathan. Let me point out the anomalies in your capture then.
I'm talking about anomalies as in observations. Of course, you're going to have days where the weather pulls, gives you strange looking things. That happens, but on average, you're going to see curvature.
Right. Pete, now, this is why I'm not going to take up much time here, man, because I know that people are trying to talk.
Under ideal, let me put it to you like this. Under ideal seeing conditions, when there's low turbulence and low humidity and there's low particulates in the air, you're going to see curvature. Whenever the water temperature and the air temperature are roughly the same, you're going to see curvature.
Let me explain something to you very briefly now, and we don't have to get too much into it. But obviously you can see, if we count up these pillars here, you have maybe 20, 25 up to this hardline horizon. Beyond that, a similar equivalent distance would take you right back to the screen. So what we're talking about is much more compressed vision back here. The further you go back, the more pylons are going to be compressed right into an equal distance on the screen. First of all, let me just point out this. We've done this before soundly. I mean, it's silly having to keep doing it again and again. But
well, you keep doing it over and over again because you don't.
But you're immediately
see that from the right side of the screen. If you go up to the middle line in the middle of each of the towers, from the right side of the screen, all the way to the left, even before you get to the horizon, you see clear curvature. That has nothing to do with your mirroring line.
Hang on. This is if you were to follow your eye line, this is what we'd be seeing, right? You'd be seeing along this direction. We assume that all of these pylons are straight.
No way. Come on.
What's wrong with it?
It's not even close.
Look at it, man. Look, follow the water line and follow the base of the pillars, Jeremy.
Instead of doing
following the water line, you're nowhere near the water line.
Instead of doing these grade school drawings over and over again, why don't you just go to Walter Bisland's webpage where he's rendered all these things, and he's got a flat Earth version and a globe Earth version of these pylons side by side.
Let's deal with this now. I don't know who you're talking about. I don't care who you're talking about. Where do you want me to move this to, Jeremy?
I'm telling you, there's a better way to do this instead of you.
Hang on. Let's just do this briefly. Where do you want me to move this to?
Drawings.
I'm trying to follow the pillar base right out as we should expect in real life. This is what we would see in real life. Right?
You want to find something to cherry pick whenever I just told you, look
cherry picking.
You look at the middle of each of the pylons, Pete. Look at the middle, from the right side of the screen to the left side of the screen. It's obviously curving.
Masking you.
Has nothing to do with mirroring. Nothing.
Okay, this is the usual runaround. I'm asking you a question. this water at the base of the pillar where it meets the water all the way along, is it a straight line?
No.
It's not.
No.
No.
So if I go behind the first pillar,
it's clearly not.
Not here. I'm not talking about here. I'm talking about if in real life. It is all in a straight line. Are they all laid in a straight line?
Are you asking if they're laid down on a great circle on a globe?
No, I'm asking when you look out. If you go to before the very first one and you look along them, are you seeing a straight line?
All of the pylons are in line on a great circle.
Right. Thank you. That's all I wanted to ask. Now, will you accept then that each of these pillars at the bottom, as they meet the water, should be in a straight line, like this?
They're going to be on a great circle curve arc.
So what's this here? What is this here, Soundly? What is this?
Yes.
This should be water, right? Up to a certain point, it should be water anyway. But it seems to suddenly stop and almost curve around. What is it? What's going on here?
The Earth's a globe.
It's the curvature of the Earth.
Yeah, curvature.
This is the curvature of the Earth.
Well, we can demonstrate that that's not the curvature of the Earth.
So the curvature of the Earth, if I was to draw a mirror line across, well, I'll leave that. Hang on.
That's not a mirror line.
No, that isn't. That's where the water should. That's how we should continue. Now, the mirror line is going to cross here.
So you know that the mirror line, the top of the mirror line, right, or the middle right there, right where you're drawing the line. You know that that's where the horizon is, right? You know that, right?
Yes, I know that.
Okay, well, if you know that, then there you go. What are you missing?
But you would identify, and that's what I'm saying. If this contrast wasn't here behind, you would by identifying this hard water line as the horizon.
I just identified the line you drew as the horizon. What are you talking about?
Right, well, thank you for that. So, if that is
we all do. What are you talking about?
I don't even think he knows.
You obviously have a misconception here, Pete.
No. I don't have a misconception. You have a misconception.
You do, because you just claimed that I would say that hard line is the horizon, whenever I just claimed and just told you that the line that you drew is where the horizon is. I was actually making sure that you understood. Did you realize that?
Okay, grateful for that. Thank you. Most ball earthers most people would identify this hard water line as the horizon, whereas in fact it isn't, as you agree. It isn't the horizon. So what we're dealing with here, right, is direct vision. This is direct vision. Underneath here, between this latest line I drew and this horizon line here, this is reflected vision, right? You agree with that?
Reflected vision?
Right there.
Right, so what the hell does that mean?
It's a reflected aspect. So you don't agree this is a mirror line. This is the real horizon line, Paul, is that?
What do you do with that information, Pete? Why are the
disagree with Soundly? Hang on, Curve. Do you disagree or agree with Soundly?
Hang on, Pete. Why are they curving down below the horizon?
No, yes, we'll get to that. Can you?
No, get to it now, Pete. Come on.
You agree or disagree with Soundly?
He's getting there, Pete. He's just getting there, Curve.
It
Just let him get there. Let him get there, Curve. Let him get there.
Here.
Pete, stop it with this game of yours.
Is the mirror line.
Okay.
Nathan, check Skype.
Pick a horizon and explain why it dips down below the horizon.
I asked you a question, Curve. Be a bit reasonable, please. You just came in.
I'm being reasonable, Pete. You're jacking around here.
Right, I'm asking you a question. You just come in, so keep your mouth shut till we finish it.
You get your mirror line, Pete. I mean, Soundly even told you that's where the horizon is. So now what do you do with that information?
Right, do you agree with Soundly?
Sure. Looks good to me. Now, what do you do with that information, Pete?
Right.
Take it to the next level for once.
I will. Right. So when you're looking at this, right, above this mirrored line is direct vision, right? So below it is mirrored vision, right? So we are a mirrored impression. So as you can see, this is why we have this anomaly over where it should be water otherwise. We know there's no pillars that it should be here, right? Or whatever. Right, so this is why we're saying. So in other words, we are mixing up, when we're looking at this, we're looking at an illusion. We're looking at real direct vision and reflected vision.
Not above the water, Pete. Not above the water. Now, I've got a technical term.
Hang on. What do you mean? What do you mean?
BFD.
Hang on. No. Nathan, can you exercise some control over this freak?
Do you understand
BFD? I was going through something. I'm going to keep talking, Curved.
You always go through this, Pete, and you never go anywhere.
Below the line here, we have a reflection of what's above it, right? So this alone will tell you that you're dealing with artifacts.
What's above it?
illusion.
What's above it is undistorted things that we can see.
Right. Right.
We
so
can
what's
see
above
the
it?
curvature
Getting to what's
clearly
above it.
that line.
Right.
We can
Getting to
clear.
what's above it. So
We
something
clearly
will
see the
create this
curvature above that
illusion.
line.
Right. Something is good. Is big enough to. Some effect is big enough to create this illusion over what should be water. Right. But yet we're not going to look
It's
at
called the curved
curvature. Right. Not going to look at this curvature, right, and think, hang on, we don't see this curvature in any other place. Can we be dealing with optical illusions? Why don't you do that here, Paul, like you did with the last video over the frozen lake? Yeah, you won't do that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Don't put words into my mouth. I said nothing about the frozen lake other than that it could be refraction. What you're seeing here above that red line is not distorted. It's nothing to do with mirroring above that line.
No. That's
you
true.
look right up above.
That's true.
And you see no distortion there. And it still curves.
Right. I'll tell you why it curves.
The top of the tower's curved down.
Are you any good
the
at
middle
counting,
of the
Paul?
tower's curved down.
Are you any good at counting, Paul?
This should be good.
Yeah. Are you any good at accounting, Paul? So let's pick out a standard measurement. Let's say okay, how'll I do it? Let's do a short line, right? Let me just draw a quick line here. Here we go. From, let's say, why is this not drawing a line? Sorry, no. Here we go. Let's just pick a line this length, right? So if we bring this line to the front here, that just barely, if we bring it to the very front, that barely covers 2 pillars, right? If we bring it back more, right, let's say bring it back here, that covers 5, 6 pillars. Let's bring it back more. That
so
covers,
what?
Hang on.
That's irrelevant.
Can I finish, please? That covers maybe 15 pillars. Let's bring it back more. That will cover maybe 40 pillars, right? So you're looking at a perspective. Hang on. You're looking at a perspective. You're not looking at all things being equal, right? And this is what accounts for this apparent curvature at the top.
That's
because of what I just showed you. Now, look at here, Paul.
That's not perspective.
Look at here, Paul. This line represents 2 pillars. This line represents 22 or 52 pillars.
And that's completely irrelevant.
It's irrelevant, is it?
It's completely irrelevant to the curvature.
What you're representing is what it should look like if the Earth were flat.
No.
It's not. Good job,
Pete. Man. You're busted. You're busted in every way.
You're detached from reality, Pete.
I just showed you. I just proved it to you there. It doesn't matter now.
Your explanations.
I don't think that word means what you think it means.
Yeah, sure. So, in other words, as you have a compression behind that line here, behind this line, what you view before this and behind it are 2 separate things, right? You're looking at a completely different perspective. And I just showed you in terms of the line I drew.
True,
I just showed you in terms of this line.
Right, Pete. You're right. Absolutely right.
You're deluded.
This picture is, there is no other picture like this. Of all the high altitude balloons, we never see curvature to this extent.
You're not looking at this view from a high altitude balloon, Chemo.
Just want to say hello to our new guest as he's actually managed to get a word in edgeways. So just say another quick hello so people know who you are, can identify your voice, Spurs Chemo.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right. Yeah, hello, good afternoon.
Good to have you, my friend.
You didn't welcome me, Nathan. You ignored me when I came in.
I'm sorry, Kurt. There's been a lot going on, my friend. I'm really sorry. Welcome as well. Good to have you here.
Thank you, thank you.
You see, the problem is there's too many inconsistencies with the ball Earth proof, evidence, the model, just practically everything that they produce. There are inconsistencies all over the place. Now,
what are they?
Well,
don't just say there are inconsistencies. Tell us what they are.
I'm about to go through them. You've just shown us a photograph here with apparent curvature. And this has never been seen before in any of the footage, any of the photograph, this much curvature, which is what we would expect to see if we were living on a board, in every photograph. So obviously there's distortion. Obviously you don't understand the horizon. You don't understand what you're looking at. And it obviously takes time because we have to explain that the
I
further
understand
you
completely
look,
what I'm looking at.
Hey, Spurs Chemo, you want an inconsistency? The definition of perspective and the way you guys use it, you sodomize it.
No, we're talking about what you bring us. So you might bring us a video or a photograph where the curvature is a lot further than what we're seeing here now. So we saw a video from you the other day, and the curvature was more in the distance. How is that possible if this curvature is a lot closer?
What about what
is it a close curvature or is it a far curvature?
What about what you bring us?
Yeah, but that's what we need to establish. Is the curvature close, far?
Right.
Just like the sun, is the sun close or is it far? You're showing us here a close curvature.
So we have approximately 15 minutes left on this live stream, so I'm going to quickly run through my links. If you are new to this channel, or you are one of the 50% of the people watching this who have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support this channel, as Shill Scanner has done earlier, hit that super chat if you want to toss me a few bucks. If you're enjoying the show, that is, of course. If you're not, just stick a thumbs down, don't try and pawn bomb. If you would like to join the panel, there is a link in the info box below this video. With the page that you are watching currently on mute, simply click that link to join the show and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are, however, a couple of rules. Number one, please do not swear. If you do, you will be ejected. If you are ejected, please do not try to rejoin using sock accounts. You will be warmly welcome back on the next stream. With that, I'm going to transition you back to the action and say one last time, if you've not shared the show already, it increases the viewing audience, which increases the likelihood of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And again, if you've not subscribed, hit the subscribe button and the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate.
Answer that question. This will be a very difficult question to answer because they obviously know once they answer that, again, they will get themselves into all kinds of trouble. So just save yourself the trouble. Realize that this picture is very highly distorted. You cannot claim this to be any type of curvature of any form. We don't see this in any other video or photograph. So we have to dismiss this as something.
What image is highly distorted? If you're talking about the transmission lines, they're not highly distorted at all. They actually look exactly like what you would expect it to look like if it were on a globe.
You just said it a minute ago, Soundly, that it was very difficult if you weren't looking to find this curvature, but you could find it with the naked eye. So which is it?
That's correct. Yeah.
So which is it though? That's
yeah. But sorry, what is the distance to that curvature?
That's 16 miles.
If I wanted to replicate
that transmission,
if I wanted to do what you did, I went to my.
I'm answering your question. That tall transmission line on the left side, that's 16 miles away.
No, to the hard horizon.
The green line here.
That's the key here. Yeah, this horizon line. This is the key. This is where the drop begins, according to you and your ballers here. So what is the distance from?
What does it matter?
But it matters. Of course, it matters.
It doesn't matter. Look at the tops of the transmission lines.
This won't be.
You guys all want to. Okay, let me ask you this. Okay, this is what I'll challenge you to do. You provide me with a flat Earth geometry-based obstruction height calculator that predicts these observations, and then we'll go from there.
No, that's not a good starting point.
Nonsense, isn't it?
There is no starting point. That's the whole point.
It's for the public to know
anything. Y'all have nothing that can predict
a good starting point is for the public to know the distance to that horizon, so we can go out and replicate it, repeat it.
You can go out and replicate it,
and do the same thing over and over again.
Well, we can count. Sorry,
take your P900 to Flat Earth's end, which is you can find it on Google Maps. It's on I-10 and real close to Laplace. You take your P900, you go out there and you take pictures. That's how you replicate it.
Yeah, but what is the distance? We need to know the distance so we can replicate it.
It's 90 miles to the far tower. That's the distance.
And it's 19 pylons away.
No. We're not talking to the far tower, to the horizon line. What is the distance to the horizon?
There are 19 visible pylons. I think. Do we know the distance between the pylons, Soundly?
19 visible. Come on, Jeremy.
Yeah,
from here, 19 visible to where that hard line is. Well, if you disagree, you come up with another number.
All the foreground towers aren't.
Again, a lot of could have, would have, should have. This is the problem your ball has, and this is why we will continue to believe in the flat Earth. If we can't get a straight answer of the distance.
I've given you a straight answer.
Sorry, guys, I'm gonna have to interrupt you. Sorry, guys, I'm gonna have to turn you all down. Just appreciate that I need to introduce Bendy Water, as he's a bit of a weird account name. How are you doing, Bendy Water? Can you say a quick hello? Got about 5 seconds before I snipe you.
He said hello, Nathan.
Oh, did he? Oh, I'm really sorry. I didn't hear him. I sniped him out. I'm so sorry, Bendy Water.
He did say hello.
I'm sorry.
I heard him.
All right, that doesn't matter anyway. But as I said to you before, Curved, sound is footage is easily debunked because when we ask the right questions about the distance,
it's never been debunked.
Well, we can't replicate this. Can we replicate and repeat what you have done?
When did you try and replicate it and fail?
No, can it be replicated?
Well, yes, it's been replicated. It's been replicated for the tunes of thousands of photographs. Yes.
Okay, so which flat earther has replicated this?
I don't know. Why don't you ask them? I've invited them to go.
That's the challenge. You put this out here for flat earthers to look and say, "Hey, this is curvature. Go and repeat this. Go and replicate this." This is why you did it. Yes, not for other ballers who already know it's a ball, right?
So if you're not just too lazy, then the Earth's flat.
Someone tried to do it. Someone
much.
tried to replicate it and they couldn't.
That's
how it was being fraudulent with the bridge photo, and he wasn't showing the natural curvature of the bridge.
This video, Sally, is for the likes of me and the likes of Nathan and Pete, for us to believe that this, like, hey guys, this is your curvature. So we're saying, what is the distance to that horizon?
I don't know the distance because I haven't
the distance, and that's the problem we have. We need accurate measurements so we can go and replicate exactly.
Which is what we just did. This is what we just did. We just did the Little Tenses Bayou
without knowing the distance,
which we will be releasing.
Hold on,
we just did the Little Tenses Bayou experiment this weekend, and we did a whole bunch of causeway observations. And I had Jesse Kozlowski here. He was doing the geodetic measurements, so he will have the data. He will have the measurements. And you will have exactly what you're looking for. I can tell you after this week's observations that the only people left in flat Earth are only the truly devoted, because these observations will absolutely blow away flat Earth.
Yeah, again, you're missing the point, Stanley. In science, everybody has to be able to repeat this experiment.
Like I said, we just did the Little Tenses Bayou experiment. We had a surveyor there that did all of the work.
Yes, I support Stanley on his curvature. Can anybody anywhere in the world get when we know the distance from the camera to the horizon? Can anybody in the world get this amount of curvature if they try this experiment at home? Yes?
Yes.
Of course they can.
So what's the distance? We need the distance. How far is the horizon?
Look, I'm going to knock this on the head right here and now. Right? The distance to the horizon is a red herring. It's irrelevant because the curvature is seen over that horizon regardless.
It's very important, Paul, because from that horizon, the reason why it's important is because we see a lot of drop.
It's
according to you, from that horizon line, there is an exponential amount of drop. I've never seen such a drop.
We see curvature even before the horizon.
What about the scientific process, Paul? What about the repeatability? This is unique to Soundly, apparently.
Anyone can repeat
this is a reality. People from all over the world would be capturing a similar.
Exactly, Pete, and that's my point.
Massive shout out to Sleeping Warrior for hitting the super chat. We've got about 10 minutes left. No, 5 minutes left, guys. Just so you know, 5 minutes left. And again, thanks to Sleeping Warrior. This is the best FE channel at the moment, he says.
First,
you should be saying to us, look, this is 6 miles, 6 kilometers. Like every ship that goes over the horizon, this is what happens. But no, you said I don't know.
This?
You see?
Where else do you have this all over the world to duplicate this, Spurs? Where else do you have this?
Anywhere of this
and where
distance.
Is that? Where is that, Spurs? Where do you have these towers like this everywhere in the world? Where is it?
Anthony Riley's already done it with wind turbines.
If it's unique curved, how do you know what you're seeing is not an illusion?
Like you asked last year. You asked the very same question. You asked, what if you put a pylon here and a pylon there and continue? What would happen? Outcome and would happen. This is distorted.
So look at how distorted it is, Spurs. They won't even deal with it. Look at how distorted it is, and pretty much look at this nonsense. For us to take this as reality, look at what's going on here. You have to come along and say this is not reliable to form any categorical conclusions because we're not dealing with.
Look what happens if you draw random lines at it in weird angles.
Hey, Pete, why isn't the horizon that high, Pete? Why doesn't the horizon rise to that line level?
It does.
We can see that the horizon drops on Phuket Words video. So how is it any different on this video?
You're drawing.
I did. That's the mirror line here.
I can't hear. Okay, now draw your other line, Pete. Draw your other line that you keep drawing, Pete. Come on, that's flat and straight. Why doesn't that follow the water level and the horizon rise up to there? Why not, Pete?
It's distorted, Kurt.
You're distorted.
No, this isn't reality.
You're broken.
So this is why this picture has to be 100% dismissed, because
exactly
it cannot be replicated anyway. This is a joke. I don't understand why it was brought forward as proof of curvature.
Can you tell me, Spurs?
This is almost like
saying, hang on, you've repeated the claim now. You've repeated the claim now that this cannot be replicated. So can you tell me about the times that you attempted to replicate it and failed, and why?
Because we have, he said this is 60 miles to the furthest pole.
That claim is false, Spurs. You can't say it can't be replicated because you haven't
says
done
60 miles to the furthest pole.
Hang on. You haven't even tried to take the same picture yourself. So
because it's not possible to do such a thing. I'm asking if what's the distance so I can go and try.
How have you determined it's not possible to take a photograph now?
Because we have a further distance of 30 miles with no curvature.
Where?
Me.
Go and get Fredo's video if we have to watch it again.
We're talking about this picture, and you're claiming that this picture cannot be replicated. So what have you done?
We don't know the distance. Yes,
so what have you done to determine if this picture can or cannot be replicated?
Well, we've replicated it on a straight
bridge. We have other videos where the distance is a lot further.
No, that wouldn't help you, would it? You said this cannot be replicated, and you've said it twice. That's false.
Because he won't tell us the distance.
You don't.
No, I'm asking, can it be replicated? And I'm saying it can't be unless we know. You're
not asking if it can. You're claiming that it can't be.
Jeremy, to the horizon, it cannot be replicated unless we know the distance.
Now you've claimed it again.
Yeah, unless we know the distance. He won't tell us the distance to the horizon, so how can we replicate it?
By going there and actually doing it.
But we need to know the distance, the actual distance.
You don't need the distance to go there and do it.
To repeat what he has done,
why are you always
same results? Look, if it's science, if this is your ball, it's science, you should be able to repeat this over and over again. So we need to know the distance to get exactly the same results. If I go out to the beach and I do a further distance or a shorter distance, you will say, oh no, we didn't do that far, or we didn't do that close, you did it wrong, which is why we need the distance.
If you want to do it, go and do it.
It's bias, Spurs. You can see with Paul there. It gives the illusion of curvature. So we're going to call curvature for this one. No, we don't need to look into any atmospheric possible.
Sorry to interrupt you, Pete. We've been joined by a new guest. I just want to say a quick hello to James Richard. How are you doing, James?
Sorry, Pete. Well, then there has to be a problem with that. That's not scientific. And that's why none of these guys entertain.
Hello,
really.
Pete. You're completely ignoring me.
I know nothing about the other video.
Sorry, Nathan. I didn't hear you.
Right. Thank God. Right. We've been joined by a new guest. How you doing, James?
Hi, James.
Pretty good. I was just gonna ask you guys if you could find an aerial photo of those same pylons.
No, they can't, James, because I said it's not. You won't see such curvature anywhere else unless you look at this distorted picture.
Don't be daft. It's in Google.
No, that's not true. Nick at Phuket Word has found curvature on a straight bridge that looks just like
a photo or an image that is questioned. You find other photos of the same thing and compare them. See if you can get the.
And sorry, James, the same thing should happen from the other side. So if you go to the pylon soundly to the other side, you should take the photograph and take it looking back, and you should get exactly the same results. Yeah. Sorry, James. Go ahead.
Yeah, but you compare that to like an aerial one, one above it. Do they see what I'm saying?
I told you, Kurt.
Before you make the conclusion, James, you gather all the possibilities, because if you're going to stand by this claim, it's ridiculous on the face of it, right? So you want to be absolutely sure, but none of these guys will say that. All they'll come along and say, well, it looks like curvature, therefore globe Earth proven.
Well, let me just interrupt and ask Soundly a question, which is fairly simple. Sorry to interrupt you, James. So, do you have a drone, Soundly? Are you there?
No.
Soundly? Is he there? Is he gone?
I have to apologize, Sandy. I didn't mean to be so harsh with your video. It was a good attempt. Thank you for trying to find and prove. At least you're trying to provide something. We've been asking the other boarders to try and provide something. So thank you for actually attempting, but it's distorted and it's definitely not curvature.
No, that's not true.
I agree with you.
Yeah, but if that's the curvature, wouldn't it be less than 25,000 miles?
No.
The whole point. Hold on. So you're saying that standing on the ground, we can see curvature when before we're too small to see curvature.
We've already answered this question a number of times. There's a difference between the curvature that goes from the observer over the horizon and what you're talking about, which is the curvature of the horizon. Those are two different things.
You said over the horizon. How far is that?
I just want to get my question in again, Pete, and I'm the host, so I'm going to get mine in. So, Soundly, do you have a drone?
Yes, I do have a drone, yes.
Nice.
So nice. Easy to verify that it does the same thing as you raise with altitude then.
Excellent. Lovely, Soundly. Look forward to that.
Well done, Jay.
That would be a good
Richard,
idea.
That was Richard's point.
The drone is a 18 millimeter focal length lens, so it's a wide angle, so of course you're not going to see near as much distance, so you're not going to see the curvature that you see with a 2000 millimeter lens, which is what you see in my photography. But I just want to tell everybody I'll put it in our little hangout chat here. There's a website, a guy named Walter Bislin modeled a bunch of different locations that deal with the flat earth stuff. And his models show you what it should look like on the globe, and my observations validate those models. It's really all it comes down.
And with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you, first and foremost, to the live audience for joining us. And of course, a massive thank you to the panel for making this debate possible. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.